Ciao a tutti and welcome to Venice Talks, a podcast series about Venice in Italy. My name is Monica Cesarato and I am a Venetian food and travel blogger. I'm going to put my insider knowledge at your disposal to help you discover Venice at 360 degrees. Each week, I will be chatting to the people who really matter, the Venetian. So follow me on the discovery of its artisans, writers, fashion designers, artists, glassmakers, bloggers, and much, much more. Come to visit Venice the right and sustainable way. You can find me on my blog www.monicacesarato.com and also on all social media. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to Venice Talks, episode number 3. Welcome back to Venice Talks. I hope you're very, very numerous people listening today. And today I'm talking to somebody very special. I'm talking to Luisella Romeo, one of the most famous guides of Venice. Very, very accomplished blogger and a great boat rider, or how would you say, Luisella? Ciao carissima, boat rider? What do you call somebody that goes on a boat like you?
Ciao Monica, ciao everyone. I would say I both row and I love sailing. So I don't know if this
Sailor.
helps understand
It was a
what I
sailor
do. And
that
rower.
I wanted to say. Hi. So first of all, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Back to work.
Okay.
As you imagine, September with a nicer temperature is the right time to come to Venice. And so we have a lot of people visiting. The film festival has just started. Then we have the Glass Week. We'll have a lot of events. So I'm sure that we will have a lot to do in September.
Okay, so you're back at work. So I'm very happy because you organize both tours of Venice. And during the pandemic, you were the first one in Venice to actually organize also virtual tour. But I'm pretty sure you're happy to be back in real life.
I'm doing virtual tours still. Actually, last
okay.
week I was involved with a community of mainly US residents, all belonging to some Jewish community or so. I think I had over 500 people listening.
Online? Oh my God! I didn't realize you did such big numbers. Okay, let's
when
talk
people
about
ask
this.
me what is the largest group you've ever led, then yeah.
You can say 500. Wow.
Over 500.
Okay, so let's talk about this. You started this during the pandemic. How did you come up with the idea?
So the very first, you may remember, were online webinars. So you would, you remember what it was like during the first lockdown. We could not leave home.
Of course. Yeah.
Then let's say the summer was almost back to normality. And then during the fall, what happened was that I received a call from a dear, I would call him a client, although it's a word that sometimes I don't like using anyway, somebody that loved my tours in person and called me from the UK asking me if I could do something similar to what a colleague of mine had been doing in London for a while. And so he explained to me that a lot of Art Society members in the UK were stuck at home because of age, because of fear, could not leave home. And how about showing them the city they loved most? So the idea was to get technology, which means a new phone, a stabilizer, and to understand how technologically this would work. And he helped me with the very first tours. In fact, at that time, I think I had almost 900 people from all over the UK following my tour of Dorso Duro. Wow. Now, I don't like large groups in the sense that, interaction is
in real
always very
life, yeah.
nice,
Yeah, of course.
but also virtually. So eventually what we ran were tours for smaller groups. And then you have also exceptions, such as the one I just mentioned. But what I loved about the virtual tours was that when the second lockdown started and museums were still closed, then many directors showed interest in allowing, organizing virtual tours within their premises. So I just spent a greatest time ever in my life being alone in the Cadoro, in the Querini Stampalia, in the Grimani, or in libraries, being alone with my phone and talking to these people that were interested in learning about Venice. And this was helping museums. So they would receive also a ticket, a virtual ticket.
Okay.
I would be allowed to work, and people that were in a way searching for a nicer time during the sadness of the lockdown were entertained in a way, culturally, intellectually. So this was I call it win-win. Who would lose?
Yeah, I assume also it was one way for people to have like a preview of a museum or a library or an exhibition, whatever, before they were coming back eventually to Venice.
I believe that this is very true, yes. Also, maybe not many knew about a museum or the other, but consider, for instance, visiting a library where with the phone you can show the detail of the miniature.
Yes.
So this is something that even if you are there with three people, not everybody can see as much, also because, with the phone you can also enlarge it, zoom in. And so this was a completely different way. In a way, I wasn't showing what I usually show when we do the real tour, because the technology allowed me to show something that it's not possible to see when we are in person. So it's parallel. That's why it still goes on.
Okay, and this means also that he allowed you to do something new in a way for yourself as well, not just for the clients, but to discover new things as well, right?
Definitely, because when you run a tour, I mean, licensed tourist guides like myself know that you have to look at the people you're talking to and keeping what you describe behind your shoulders. I mean, you can spot good guides from bad guides when they talk to the people, giving them shoulders as they need to see what they describe. No?
Okay, of course.
Okay. Yes. Of course, the voice, and also you have to detect if people are enjoying, understanding. This is something that, of course, in a virtual tour is completely missing, the feedback. Yeah. But in real life, what we do is to talk to somebody and look at somebody, and then, I don't know, St. Mark's Church Facade is right behind me.
Yes.
So with the virtual tour, it was exactly the opposite. And sometimes I discovered the details. Right. I remember also museum people told me, wow, I had never noticed in my museum that very detail, because all of a sudden we were slow. Yes. So not just focusing on details, but giving us the time to enjoy. So not standing and feeling tired because you stand, but sitting comfortably in front of your computer screen and say, wow, look at that reflection, look at that brush stroke, or look at that little figurine I had never noticed in this painting.
Wow. So it's actually, I think it's this digitalized version of a tour should be used much more by the museum, shouldn't it? But unfortunately, in Venice, apart from you and maybe some other guides, there aren't that many opportunities to do this, are there?
So we have a lot of museums that said yes. As for guides offering this kind of tour, we have not too many, that's true. also because it needs some technological ability. Basically, people say, but who's doing the filming? I said, I do the filming. Okay, so you need, I'm not a photographer, I'm not a video maker, but I love photography. And I think that this has helped me understand how to frame. The sensitivity in that sense is, and then you need to be really cool, because whatever a technical problem occurs, you have to solve it that very moment, because everything is live.
Yes, of course.
And there's been a lot of different stories, but anyway, it happened.
Oh, come on. Just one of little things that happened.
I remember I had around 300 people, or maybe 100 people waiting very badly for this tour, and 2 minutes to start, and I talk to the organizers. I'm saying, I'm fine. And then I see the phone saying low battery.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Luisella,
and it was just
that's a rookie mistake.
No, it was not a mistake. It was just that the plug had not been properly plugged in.
Oh no. Okay.
So I said, okay. So while this, or the very funny one was when I stepped on some dog's poop.
Oh,
because and you have to keep calm with my voice. People say it's very nice, and what a lovely voice. And I felt like, look at this. I mean,
hey, because thank God we have invented yet the smelly PCs.
Or when I was describing to these people who had financed the restoration of Carlo Scarpa's ground floor at the Querini Stampaglia Foundation. And Carlo Scarpa is a wonderful architect, but loved the steps.
Yes.
So when I entered the room, I did not notice
there was a step.
There was a step, and it was like
well,
I cannot mind the step.
Mind the step when you walk through this door then. Okay, so which museums did you manage to do with a virtual tour so far?
Oh my God, it's such a long list. Basically, all the city museums, so the Doge's Palace, Carezzonico, Ca' Pesaro, then the State Museum like the Cadoro, the Grimani Palace. The very first one was the Querini Stampaglia Foundation. Well, there's a list on my website. We have a lot of museums that said very happy to do so. Then the Franciscan Library at San Francesco della Vigna, showing us the ancient corals.
Wow.
And the very first printed books ever by Aldous Manutius, or some Bibles of in multilingual. I mean, I really have a long list in my head.
It actually kind of opened a new world to you also, because generally as a guide, you'll end up, correct me if I'm wrong, but generally before the lockdown, were you kind of stuck in doing always the same museums and the same tours in a way?
Sure. For instance, the Peggy Guggenheim collection was one of my favorites, but often people were saying, oh, we prefer to see the collection alone, you tell us the story. Now, the Peggy Guggenheim collection was another museum that showed an incredible interest and renewed all their Wi-Fi network. This was also something interesting, because museums before the pandemic actually were not thinking of how good the connection for phones would be in their rooms. Actually, they were saying you're not allowed to be on a phone call. So the Wi-Fi would be in the store, in the gift shop or the cafeteria.
Luisella, do you remember when we did live in Venice last year? No, in 2020, last year. And so many of the churches was like the connection was going up and down, because it was terrible.
Also because you have LED roofs on top, so this creates a problem with signal. The Carmini, Scuola Carmini was one more of the places where not many had been, and that was also something that fortunately worked with Wi-Fi without having them invest on the Wi-Fi. So this is a moment when I think, see, out of difficulties, you can always find a good viewpoint. And also when somebody said, but how could you offer tours while people were also dying? No, I mean, it was a moment of great sadness and mourning. But in the end, do we want to wait for the pandemic to be over to enjoy culture, arts, and life? Now, if you think of Vivaldi's music, which was actually written because you had orphans to take care of, or if you think of the paintings by Tintoretto in the Scuola Grande of San Rocco that were painted during also the bubonic plague and right after. I mean, in history, we cannot wait for culture to be back because culture is the response exactly while you are in difficulties.
Absolutely. And some of the greatest works of art were born during the worst periods in humanity's life,
Exactly.
life. So
let's see what happens after the pandemic, what we leave to future generations.
Oh gosh. Right. So between a virtual tour and a real life tour, which one do you prefer now?
There's absolutely, it's like asking which child do you prefer. So no, it's really a completely, I must say, I really like both. Clearly, when you have people in person, it's emotionally different, but it's not less involving. I know it feels strange, even if I don't see the people I'm talking to, but I feel them. And then
you have a connection, don't you?
See, that I definitely think that people are in connection even when they don't see each other. I mean, otherwise you would not call your mom.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
phones, or we are communication animals.
Yes.
So whatever we use, we communicate. Now, you know that I also run tours for people with disabilities. In a way, we are all,
I was coming to that. I was going to come to that. Exactly.
I mean, we are all disabled in one way or the other. And we know that what we need to do is to just find a different language. And then the spark happens to start.
Let's talk about this tour for disabled people. You were absolutely, I'm pretty 100% sure you were the first one, right? To think of no? Okay, but you're the best one. But you definitely are the best one. Well, you're my best one, okay? Okay, let's talk about this. How did you get into this kind of tours?
So disability is a word which means a lot of different approaches. Yes, so during the pandemic, a group of colleagues of mine had the idea to connect to an association of people with visually impaired and blind. So that was something completely new. And I remember it wasn't so much during the course we took to learn. It was just looking at the internet. And then I saw a lady that said, how would you explain this painting to somebody who cannot see it?
Exactly.
So, I mean, imagine just the Virgin Mary with a baby by Bellini. What is it that you would communicate that helps people understand why this painting with a woman and a baby in her arms is different from Titian with the Virgin Mary and the baby?
Yeah. Okay.
So these were questions that made me understand that whatever I had done before with blind people was not enough. And on the other side, I had a feeling that the best approach would be also just like any other visitor to understand the uniqueness of Venice. So while it's true that I will be happy to lead the tours in St. Mark's Church or in the Doge's Palace, any museum, then I must say that when I came up with some experience tours, so rowing, chocolate tasting, mask making, marionettes, then it would be different, because then you would experience Venice in a more direct way, and especially I would say you would learn about its traditions. So water and history. So I said, why don't we take people rowing? Even if they don't see,
they can
then
feel.
they will certainly feel, understand what an oar is like, what a rowlock is like. And it was amazing when I actually was in bed with COVID when I received a call from the television RAI, and the journalist said, we would like to arrange a program to show what you do. And I said, of course, I'm happy, maybe in 2 weeks.
Once I get out of this, yes. I hope it was I hope you had COVID, but not bad like I did, because I did really bad. I just hope it wasn't bad.
No, I had a very high fever, but anyway, it didn't last too long. The thing is that when we did it, it was one of the most amazing days I had ever in my life. And these people that, were, let's say, guinea pigs in a way, because, you had the TV program and they were trying again and again. It was funny because when I talked to one of them, I told her we would do rowing, but she understood that we would go on a boat.
Right. Well, because they don't know the rowing in Venice is done standing up, of course.
No, they did, but they thought that somebody else would do it. I said, no. You are going to do it. What? Yes, of course. So let's do it. So they were all excited. And I was excited also to see how it would work with them.
Of course.
And one of the questions was, are we already moving? Because it was so silent and so beautiful, and they felt the water, and so they touched the water outside the boat and could feel that it was moving. And then it was just the wind, the sound.
Because for blind people, tactile is so important, isn't it? So I think an experience like that one, where you get to use all the other senses, the smell, touch, the movement, hearing, must be. And also because I assume you went out in the lagoon, so
in the canals of Cannaregio we went around, and so they could understand when a boat was approaching.
Yes.
So no, it was absolutely gorgeous, I would say.
Did you try to row with your eye closed?
Well, not really, because I was helping.
Okay, right. Okay.
Now for you might have other boats. But
now for you might have tried just to get a feeling of what they were feeling. That's all. But
that's not so easy. I mean, when you are blind, you have grown into some different experience. So it's not just closing the eye for a minute that helps you understand what you would feel if you were blind. But yes, I understand what you mean. I would say that they understood that it's very much like a yoga or a Pilates.
So this for the visually impaired, you organize this rowing, and what other type of tour do you organize?
So the rowing one is much more complicated tour because we visit also a museum where we have a lot of objects regarding the boats, and then we visit also a place where they make oars and the rowlocks. So you know what it means also from the smell point of
Yes,
view.
of
You
course.
can feel the perfume of timber.
Yeah.
And that's
The
dedicated
varnish,
to the
the smell of
varnish,
varnish.
and then and also the humidity
Yeah, of
and
course.
the shape of a boat anyway. And then we have another one dedicated to the history of carnival. So that's where we get involved into the mask making, and then the way chocolate was experienced in the 1700s.
Yeah, I think that
And
one probably is the most liked by everybody, isn't it?
see, definitely. You
The
had
chocolate
in
tasting.
our group, we had a person who before becoming blind was an expert in also in wine.
Oh,
So
they must have loved it.
that was really important because he could tell, I can feel, I can taste the cinnamon, I can taste the ginger, I
Yeah,
can
of
understand
course.
how it works in my mouth. And as you know, the chocolate tasting is not just drink chocolate and then let's leave,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's learning how to appreciate chocolate in all its versatility. So for somebody that is focusing on how you taste, it was
Yes.
absolutely some amazing experience. And then the marionettes, so it's a very, as I said, meeting people, touching, tasting, smelling, it's a very strong experience.
Yeah, yeah. But for disability, do you do only just for visually impaired and blind, or do you do also disabled people, as in walking disabled? If
So
so, how
no,
hard is it in Venice? Because, you know, with all the bridges and so on.
see, so the one
I'm saying because right now I'm on crutches, so I know how hard it is.
so well, the best would be to be on a wheelchair, because when you are on a wheelchair in Venice, you can go anywhere.
Okay, because you
So
up on and off of a water bus, you mean, by doing it that way?
so I mean, this was something that it let's say my proposal for tours for people that have difficulty in walking was already many years ago. And I remember how wonderful it was to move around Venice, thinking where there are no steps and where I can use the water bus instead. And so that's what I work on with several travel agents who, especially in the Netherlands, but working with US and also with German clients who need a special tour for people on a wheelchair. So I do a lot of tours in that sense. And museums, not all of them are ready, but quite a few are. So you can really visit much more than you think, much more than you think.
But it needs to be done with a guide, because I realize I see, that's what I try to explain to people. I see so many people with disability coming over, and all of a sudden they don't know what to do, how to go around. By relying on somebody like you, the hassle of having to create the perfect itinerary where they can really enjoy what they're doing, and they don't have to worry about how they're doing it. It's on you.
Yeah,
And that's why they should organize it with a professional guide, right?
or find online updated maps that show exactly what itinerary, I mean, where you have to turn, which narrow street you have to take. Otherwise, you will find
How to
yourself all of
avoid
a
bridges.
sudden a bridge in front of you, and what do you do
Exactly.
next?
Exactly.
So there are many travel, I mean, tour operators arranging, and then of course they rely on local guides.
Of course.
So that's the best. That's the best way.
Okay, now let's talk another thing that you do that I know you're very passionate about, and it is the Jewish Ghetto. I know that you have a particular passion for this. Am I right?
Well, yes, it's true. It grew throughout the years, and I have not stopped learning about it yet. So that's always something to add. And recently, as you may know, I've started a collaboration with the Germany pavilion at the Biennale. And more research was done regarding what happened during the fascism time regime.
But it's not something that is talked about much, isn't it? I mean, I know maybe because it's so near to, to the events. But, I found online or even on books and stuff, a lot, let's say, I found material about the ghetto in the, I mean, when it was created and through the years, but about the period during the Second World War, not so much so. So it's nice that you're doing these kind of things because you bring into light a period that maybe was, for a while kept under the carpet.
Well, I would say, well, yes, it depends if you're Italian, if you're German, if you are coming from different countries. It depends on, first of all, schools programs. So when I went to, I remember, to middle school, my teacher said, well, I'm sure that you will study Roman history when you go to university or high school. So we'll do more regarding the present time. When I went to high school, they said, well, we are sure you studied Roman history when you went to middle school or when you go to university. So we will skip Roman history. Now, this was a different school, as you can imagine. It was a liceo sperimentale, and that's where I went. And so, believe it or not, we dedicated 2 years of our 5-year high school program to what happened right after World War One, ending with the 1970s.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
I got to say, Luisella, very strange, because usually
they end with First World War.
Yeah, exactly. Or just about you do the second, but you kind of do it very quickly and then goodbye. Yeah.
Yes, and then goodbye. So this left me with an idea. And the idea is that maybe, for sure, Roman history is important. But when you leave high school, you are a person going to vote. So your political ideas are maybe not exactly too precise. And when you instead read and talk about the recent years, I think then your political ideas start getting a shape, start understanding what's before what you leave that very moment. If schools do not offer such a service, what can you do? Well, I found the IVESER, the Institute for the Resistance History, in Venice, a very important institute for what they do exactly, not just in creating an archive, but also educating students and pupils.
Also the general public. They do a lot of events regarding post Second World War, so it's very interesting what
and also and also the resistance, and also what happened in a way just a few years ago. I know it sounds like a long time, but it's for us as if we were talking about what happened in the 80s, right? I mean, talking about to you because more or less we are the same age. So the fact that the IVESER has such an archive and has promoted education gave me the idea when the German artist Maria Eichhorn wrote me asking, I've read some of your blog posts and I would like to understand better how that period was. Now, Maria Eichhorn is a German artist born in Bamberg, more or less 60 years old. And her idea, as she is the main artist working for the German pavilion, this very Biennale, was that the German pavilion was originally a small pavilion at the time of the 1909 when it was created, and during the Nazis time it was completely changed, made bigger, made larger, become monumental, and make everybody, when approaching the pavilion, feel terribly small, which is part of the imperialistic and the Nazi activity. So she said, I'm not going to show any of my work inside a Nazi-shaped art center. So what I will do is to remove from the walls, remove from the ground floor, something like plaster, bricks, so people entering the German pavilion will understand how it developed, a sort of stripping down a monument to show how Germany changed throughout the years. At the same time, she said, I need guided tours in the rest of the city to show what happened during those times that contrasted the Nazi presence. So the resistance or the deportation or what happened to the Jewish community. And the historian Giulio Bobbo helped Maria Eichhorn come up with such itineraries, and I was also asked to lead some of them. So for me, it was, where did I find the information? You find information on Second World War on the IVES website. You find catalogs, as we had several exhibitions. One was at the Querini Stampalia Foundation some years ago with documents. And then, of course, you have to look around, so to understand the monuments that you find in Venice that tell what happened against the Nazi occupation and the fascist ideas.
Fantastic. I mean, I need to book this tour because it sounds
hurry
so
up.
Yeah, because
no, for you there will always be room. Also, it's free of charge. It's free of charge. I get paid by the German pavilion.
Hey, listen, I can combine the disabled and this tour at the moment.
Well, the thing is that the fact that it's free of charge sometimes helps people say, oh, okay, I will book it, and then they do not come.
Oh no,
so,
okay, let's clear this with the people listening. Please, two things. One, when you book a tour, please remember you're taking a spot from somebody else. The guide is coming out. She might have other things to do that day. So please, if you decide to cancel, unless the world is not falling down or whatever, please let the guide know, first of all, okay, and possibly 24 hours in advance. Second, there's a big difference between a free tour and one given by a professional guide like Luisella. I would like to make this clear, right, Luisella?
Yep. Yes. So first of all, I must say that we agreed with the German pavilion organizers that we needed people to confirm their booking. And that's 24 hours before.
I speak in general as well.
In general, yeah.
When people book you, please.
No. They do understand, most of them. The thing is that when you take away a spot from other people, that's sad. So if you see that the tour is already booked, I mean, I'm talking about this German pavilion program, then do not hesitate still to write and to wonder if there is any room available, because usually there is.
You're gonna run. Sorry, I'll stop you one second. You're gonna run this tour until the end of the Biennale, right?
Correct. Yes, till November.
It like once a week, once a day? How
it's
often?
Twice a week.
Okay.
And on the internet, on the website of the German pavilion, you find all the dates.
Perfect.
Some are run by myself and some are run by Giulio Bobbo.
Okay.
And
are they in English as well or just in Italian?
No, they're all in English.
Okay, perfect.
Actually, there are some in Italian, but last time we arranged one thinking, oh, that's for residents. Then we had everybody come except
For residents.
the Venetians. So probably they did not know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just that eventually I led it in English because most of the people were speaking English, even if they were German, French, and German living in Venice. As for free tours, what was your question?
I wasn't referring to this that you're giving for free as an exception, because it's something different, is connected to the Biennale. I was just saying that people should be aware that nothing in life is free. So when somebody book you or other professional tour guide, they're booking your experience of God knows how many years. They booking your knowledge that you have acquired by doing also this research, above all in the last few years, as you've shown. A free tour, you don't know who you get. So people should be aware. It's like, nothing in life is free, isn't it? And, and people like you study years and years and years to do the job that you do. So
I don't feel like adding anything else to what you
good.
said. I agree in the sense that there are very popular free tours in Venice. You see 30, 40 people. And I wonder what job these people have at home, no? What about if somebody comes to them and say, I do exactly what you do, but I do it for free and you tip me.
Yeah, I know. It's exactly that's.
So how can you ever think that the person in front of you is professional?
Yeah,
it cannot be, because then there is nothing that it's an intellectual work that can be tipped.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's it really
also
really...
there's a problem with I think tax evasion.
Exactly.
But technically, when we receive money, it must be recorded. Now, when you instead are there and you receive €2, €5, anyway, the fact that the Italian financial army or the police has not stopped this activity is only because there's what we call a loophole legally. So they are not in a way illegal, so they keep going. But then, it's just think of what you're doing. You are paying a person with a tip.
Okay, two last things. First, is it true? I was reading that Venice was the first city in the world to invent the profession of tour guides.
Really?
You don't know? Yeah, of course you do.
I did not know that.
No,
really?
seriously?
Oh my God.
Yeah, already. I only read a little bit, so I need to go into more details. We were the first one. I'm not so sure when, but listen, Venice did so many first things. It didn't surprise me, to be honest. I would have thought you knew that. Oh, well. Okay. Luisella doesn't know you then.
No, I imagine what it was like. I mean, in 22 years or 23 years I've been a guide, how much my job has changed.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember talking to somebody that said, many years ago, there were very few guides. And there was one gentleman we all loved that entered the Frari Church, where you have this magnificent Assumption of the Virgin Mary by Titian. And by the way, on the 4th of October, eventually the painting will be uncovered, unveiled after years of restoration. So we're all crazy about this very moment when finally we'll see Titian's colors back to their original vibrancy. Anyway, this guide came and had the people sit down in front of the altar, and he said, turning to them, "This is by Titian, the Assumption of the Virgin Mary." Turned to them, put a finger over the lips and said, "Shh."
And that's it.
And that's it. But what he did was all of a sudden to create the magic.
Of course.
People started watching.
Of course.
And of course, we would never get paid to do this station, the Assumption of the Virgin Mary.
Yeah, of course. But wow.
So you see, being a guide being a tour guide, it does not mean that what we did 20 years ago is what we do today. Now we have also people that offer tours to see the most Instagrammable spots in the city. Would you say it's crazy? No, it's not. It's life. We are not as we were when we were children. Everything changes.
Of course.
What I find it's very important is that people do remember when they go back home what they saw.
Of course. One last thing we were saying before, you row and you sail. Literally 2 minutes. Let's talk about that, because I know it's something you really, really love.
Well, it's my baby, my boat. And her name is Coccola.
Oh, that means cuddle?
Yes, a cutie pie. It's a boat which my husband and I had really somebody make, build.
And I thought you restored it. I didn't realize that. You actually built it. Wow.
We had a young, very good maestro Dasha building it. Then we started rowing, and of course the oars are by a famous oar maker here in Venice. The rowlocks, everything is ready. Then we had a recycled sail. And it needed to be repainted. So I'm very happy to tell that our sail has been hand painted.
Wow.
As you may know, the tradition that we promote is the vela al terzo.
Okay.
So
can you
it's
explain
a special
about this?
kind of a sail. It's a special kind of a sail with well, we have also a jib, we have a mast, and the sail has two long wooden poles, one on the top and one on the bottom. And what happens is that you don't have, like in any other sailing boat, a button to push and everything happens miraculously. No, everything is by hand.
Like in the old days.
And like in the old days, when fishermen were using this technique to draw the fishing nets, to move around the lagoon, taking advantage when there was some wind. And you have a big rudder, a huge rudder. As you know, our boats don't have a keel. And so they are using the edge of the boat being flat to be sort of a keel. And then you have a huge rudder, which is more or less, in our case, around 30, if not 40 kilos.
Oh, wow.
And it's reaching your waist. I mean, much higher, actually, much bigger. And it's a tilting one, so you can hold it up in case you enter some shallow water. Anyway, I started very recently, and there are people that were born on a boat. So I really fell in love with this experience, as it taught me to appreciate the lagoon with a slow movement. And then, of course, we had a great fun last year joining our first regattas, because we are
Did you finish
crazy.
Did you finish it? Okay, so next question.
But I mean, I remember we were almost ready to start the regatta, and we said, okay, maybe we should remove the anchor. Now we were south of Venice, north of Chioggia, in the most beautiful part of the southern lagoon, completely just water. I don't know how, but we managed with the anchor to get hooked on a wire.
Oh, God.
And so when we started pulling this thing, it didn't come up. So it was like 2 minutes to go, 1 minute to go. Ouch. And everybody went.
And you were anchored.
We were still like, trying to. And then finally we left, like 15 minutes later. Then we had to cross the oil tankers canal. And then a huge cargo ship with hundreds and thousands of containers arrived. And we were like, oh, okay, you go first. There's no problem. Go
David,
ahead.
David and Goliath.
Yes. And then we had another one that was very funny because we finally reached this corner where we had to turn around, and it's an island completely submerged by water and surrounded by some metal protection, and the wind stopped.
Oh,
we were so late.
What
and
do you
so
do?
the judges called us and said, where are you?
You lost. Are you alive? Do we need to send a search
Actually,
party?
we were 2 boats stuck there with no wind.
And what
And
do you
the judges called the other boat first, and they said, because you are the last ones.
Yeah.
And this guy said, well, not really. There's another boat here.
So did they send you somewhere with a motorboat or something?
No, we went rowing. But anyway, it was so funny when the judges said, you will never make it in time to finish this regatta. And we said, well, but we are training, so don't worry, you can go home. We will go back rowing. So it was so funny. It was absolutely, I don't know, so we have a different prizes, when you get first, second, third. Okay, so once we got the prize, because we were last, and then we won a special one called the Gaillardon prize.
Okay,
Gaillardon was that crazy French guy who would fly with what would you call it? It was not paragliding, but basically he was wearing something that helped him fly.
And eventually, like the wings, like
yes,
like it looks like a parachute, but it's on. It looks like a parachute, but it's on you.
Yeah, and you remember he died, crashed himself on the floor. So my husband and I got that prize called After Gaillardon because sometimes we do something really unorthodox in the sailing, which brings us to dangerous position, but we just are learning. We are learning.
So if somebody wants to row, they can come to Venice, and there are various associations that do this. There is Row Venice, and then there is Venice on Board, and but if somebody wants to do sailing, can they do that?
Well, I also do rowing classes with Venice on Board or with Row Venice.
Okay.
And with Venice on Board, we also do the sailing.
Okay, right. So if people
I would never bring anybody with my Gaillardon prize sailing experience to tell, wow, that was an adventure.
Con la coccola. Right, Luisella, you offer so many tours. I don't think you got space anymore on your website for anything else, have you? I mean, your menu on your website must be like way, so many offers. So what actually is your website?
So my website is cvenice.it. So it's S-E-E. So cvenice.it.
And you are on Twitter, but you're very, very, very a frequent user, as we will say. You're always
poor thing. Yes, I tag you always.
Yeah, I know you do. But you're also on Instagram, are you?
Yes, I'm in Instagram and Facebook, although slightly less active, as the new TikTok version of Instagram is not what appeals to me too much. The reels, they are really changing, and
it's not
I'm not sure if
photos,
I'm going to use that too much, but I see a lot of people still follow me on Instagram and Facebook, so I will still keep on posting.
Yeah, I will put all your information on the website and at the end of this episode. Luisella, thank you so much.
It was a real pleasure.
I know it was so nice talking to you. I know now your darling husband is making you a nice dinner, you lucky girl. And or are you cooking? Which one is cooking?
He's cooking.
Yeah, you lucky woman. Okay. Right. When's your next regatta, by the way?
We are going on in St. Mark's Basin, with ferry boats and water buses passing by on September the 11th.
Oh, okay. So you're not going to do the historic, are you?
No,
Yeah.
that would
Not
be too
yet.
much,
Not yet. Not yet.
too much. The rowing is something that I consider as my yoga.
Okay.
And so it's not to go fast, it's to enjoy the lagoon.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Luisella. I'm pretty sure that I will call you back for some more information in the times to come. Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica, for all you do. You're really
Ciao.
wonderful.
Thanks.
Grazie.
Ciao, Bella. Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.
Ciao, everyone. Ciao.
Thank you, Luisella, for the lovely chat. You can find Luisella on her website www.cvenice.it and all social media with the handle Luisella_Romeo. Thank you again for listening. If you want to book a food tour or a cooking experience with me, you can find me on my blog www.monicacesarato.com or at cookingvenice.com, and also on all social medias with the handle at Monica Cesarato and at cookingvenice. Feel free to leave a comment or write to info@monicacesarato.com for more information about the people featured in the podcast or Venice. Bye bye!